You good?
Yep.
And action.
All right, welcome. Here we are again at Gym in Real Life. I guess that's what we're calling it now. I personally wanted to call it Beer Nerds Make for the Soul, but Stacy poo-pooed that.
Listen,
so,
you can call it whatever you want, baby.
So
I said that you should
maybe
ask.
it'll be, or I thought, or Coffee and Nerds, you know, to keep it PG. But
you can call it whatever you want.
I'm not against the IRL thing. I just thought humorous-wise,
Listen, you can call it whatever you want.
Beer, anybody that knows me, Beer Nerds or Coffee Nerds for the Soul would be a funny take on, but I guess that's a Gen X thing, so I won't get into that. Right?
You might have the manufacturer of those candies come after you for...
I don't think Nerds, I've given Nerds most of their money over the last 10 years, so...
How much do you really love eating Nerds at this phase in your life?
I can't... Well, I shouldn't say I can't stand them. I do like them. They just eat holes in my tongue, and I've eaten way too many of them, and yeah, so, yeah.
So there you go.
Anyways, thanks everybody for the feedback. Please send us more feedback. Send emails, send videos, send pictures, send anything that you think is relevant. We'll look at it all. Please share with friends if you think it's relevant. Subscribe and just spread the word. If you think we're deserving of it, because we are, so just do it. I want to thank Stacy for all of her editing and camera work. I know she's down on herself about it,
I want to apologize for all of my editing.
But I wouldn't be able to do this without her, and we wouldn't be able to do this, so I wouldn't even know where to begin. So
it will get better.
Thanks to her for all of that. We got some great input. We got some messages from my friend Jeff Wolf, who said he wants some road stories and places I enjoyed on the road. Anybody that knows me knows that I like food. I usually try to check out days ahead of time what the best restaurants or what the local favorites are in that city. I've probably asked most of the people on here in their cities what they prefer, what places that they go, where the locals go. I mean, that's always a priority, and I always love a good dive bar or just a place near the hotel that the crew can hang out with and everybody can hang out together. That's always like my two favorite things on the road. And that's been another thing that's come up, is the introvert extrovert thing. I didn't know so many people, I think, especially in this industry, we get and a lot of people that have come about have been musicians at various levels that and are professionals in their own mind, and have come to me and said they totally get the introvert extrovert thing. And yeah, it just surprises me, because I think a lot of people you see it to me when I became a tour manager. I developed a second personality because I would talk louder, because I had to invent this character to become a tour manager and to negotiate and deal with the things I did. So now, you know, I love getting together with people. For years when I lived in Nashville, I did a monthly get together, and we used to get like 20 to 100 people regularly. And I would sit and get everybody together and just like shyly sit in the corner on my phone. And I do that now with Christmas parties in Green Bay every year. And we have lots of people coming there, and I'm usually like walking around making sure everybody's having a good time and on my phone while everybody else is talking and having fun. We got, and Jennifer Posey had asked about hearing some memories and stories about, especially about Alice in Chains. We'll get to that. Rick Mitten, Cindy's little brother, had said, you have had many great memories. Tell us about the 5 best memories. And I decided, instead of going I started racking my brain and trying to figure out like my best memories, and there's a lot, but I thought it might be easier for the first one to go for the best 5 memories of my beginning of my career. The first year, the early mid '90s when I started touring, I was with an artist called Jimmy Dale Gilmore, who was in this band, the Flatlanders, who it broke up in the '70s, and were kind of like a cult band. Joe Ely, Jimmy Dale Gilmore, and Butch Hancock, and I toured with Jimmy Dale Gilmore, and they got back together and now tour. I think they're still together, but Robert Redford got them together for the Horse Whisperer, and they were on the soundtrack, or they did the soundtrack for that. But my first experience, my first tour opening with Jimmy, we opened for Willie Nelson for I think a week, and then Emmylou Harris for a week. And yes, I did get high with Willie. He was a big, at the time, I as Stacey will tell you, I rarely, if ever, get high. I just don't like the way it makes me feel, and I wasn't drinking at that time either, and hadn't for many years. But when Willie passed that joint around, yes, I did partake. You know, how do you say? And I know multiple people have had that same dilemma of like getting to meet Willie, and do they or not, just to say they did. And I think almost everyone I've talked to has partaken with Willie.
You'd have to.
What?
You'd have to.
Yeah. And another experience I had with that was we were supposed to go see Colonel Tom Parker, who was if you saw the movie Elvis, that was Tom Hanks played his character in the movie, who was Elvis's manager, and Jimmy's manager Mike had worked with Elvis in the glory days, and we were all supposed to go meet the Colonel, but he was not feeling well that day, so just Jimmy the artist and his manager went, and we all decided that I had never been to Vegas before, so everybody decided they were going to show me Vegas. So we started at the Luxor, which was the furthest at that time on the end, because I don't think the other hotels had been built there yet. So we started at the Luxor and ran. I think we had 6 hours to see the city, and we ran from one end of this all the way to the Stratosphere on the Strip, end to end, hit every casino on the way there. And they're filming a movie that was, I wish I could remember what the name of that movie was, but that they were.
Is it Face Off?
No, it was before Face Off with Malkovich, because John Malkovich was in it. It was about prisoner flight, convict or something, convict flight or something like that. But at one point, this was pre 9/11 by quite a bit, but there was like 2 planes and a helicopter dive bombing the Stratosphere. As we came out there, the taxi driver said, "Quick, get in, they're dive bombing the thing." We realized the next day that they were at, because we were checking the news order and realized it was a movie. Now they could never get away with that, but at the time...
It took a whole day for you to realize that it was not real.
We were drunk.
Oh, okay.
They were drunk. I wasn't drinking at the time. They were drunk, but no, and that was kind of pre-internet too, so there was no... We could just look it up online. Yeah, and also on that tour, I got to meet Emmylou Harris, and that was a road at the time that Wishing Well came out, which was one of my favorite records. So it was a dream to be able to be her, and Phil Kaufman was with her at the time, and that was a pretty magical time. And then number 4 was going to a party in Brooklyn after a show in New York with the owner of Telluride's house. Was this massive walk-up brownstone in Brooklyn, and Dan Rather had brought us as his guests. And then at the night, getting ready to drive to Northampton, Dan Rather putting his arm around me to tell me to be careful. Was, as a kid growing up with Dan Rather and 60 Minutes, was quite a big thrill to that. And then going back to the Flatlanders, we had Joe Ely throw a party for Jimmy when we came to do the Austin show, and there's a famous photo of because Joe Ely, when the Clash toured the U.S., they brought Joe Ely in as the opening act, and there's a picture of Charlie Sexton, Joe Ely, and Joe Strummer sitting at the kitchen table talking while Charlie's playing guitar. And I realized as I was sitting there talking to Joe that it was the same table from this famous picture, and so I sat talking to Joe Ely about the Clash and about Joe Strummer at the same table that Joe Strummer and Charlie Sexton and Joe were all sitting down like 20 years earlier. It was a pretty big deal. I think that's it for stories. Anything else you want to hear? Any questions you have about Parkinson's? About again, share with everyone. If it's something that people will be interested in, we're getting pretty good feedback. We hit 1,000 hits on the first video. I think we're at 600 on the second video. So watch the second video. Keep up. Update on the Parkinson's. I don't know, I've been feeling pretty low today. Is just realizing just little stuff like, as anybody knows that's toured with me, I have a thing about sweatpants. I have a thing about wearing them in public. I used to give my crew shit about anybody that would wear sweatpants in public or come off the bus with sweatpants on, and I get to the point where because of this I have a hard time dressing myself where I might have to rethink.
Sweatpants
all
are really
that
in
stuff.
style right now, baby. It's okay.
It's nothing about being in style. It looks like hell. Yeah. It's sloppy. It's to work out in, to sleep in, not to go out in public in. So it's just a thing. Just noticing. I've noticed a weird thing. I talked last week about the gambling thing, and I read that this is a thing too. Is that 90% of the time when I put my shirt on, I put it on backwards, and that's a thing. That's like part of it. It's a symptom of it, which is weird because even though I put my shirt on seems to be right when it gets on, it's on wrong. So that's been more of a weird thing than a serious thing. I just feel a little down about that, but dealing with it, especially I think with the Grammys and with the Super Bowl coming on, and a lot of friends tending those and missing out on that energy and that excitement. It's just put me in a melancholy place. But anyways, thanks again for signing up. Again, subscribe, join, share.
Did we already apologize for me having the wrong year on the first video? Because I wanted to make sure we did that.
And Stacy apologizes for having the wrong year on the first one, but I think everybody knows what year it is except you. So I think we're good.
I fixed it on the second one.
Oh, it's fixed on the second one, but nobody said anything. So
My video
and again, thanks for everybody. Nick Close and a few others have and a few others have reached out with messages. We'll get those next time. Nick sent an amazing message of anybody that knows Nick. He goes back to Nirvana, In the Van on Nevermind, and A Million of Sonic Youth for 20 years or something like that. And just an amazing human being. And we'll talk more about him next time.